Hello. There we go. Good morning, friends. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a moment. I needed to get the small group set up and rock and rolling so they're good to go. So what we'll do is your link is available in Google Classroom. I'm going to go ahead and send it out in Class Dojo now. I'm going to go run and go grab my tea. Gotten really into English breakfast tea lately. And only one brand, which is ridiculous. My husband tried to buy some other brands and it just was not working. It has to be legit British tea. I had a kiddo go to England 2 years ago and brought me back English tea in this really cute container. And I fell in love with tea. I'm not a tea drinker, but that turned me. I'm now quite the tea drinker. Which is hilarious because, like, I absolutely, I'm not a big tea drinker, but my husband's Canadian. He actually immigrated here from Toronto, Ontario, about 7-8 years ago. And they have David's tea there. So I order Canadian tea and British tea. So I'm all over the map. So let's go ahead and turn that chat on, and I'm going to go run and grab my tea that's sitting on my counter. And I'll turn the chat on for you so you guys can chit-chat. And then we'll discuss our oh-so-fun virtual field trip today, shall we? Pretty cool, if I do say so myself. We'll see how we like it. I'm excited. I always find them interesting. We've done them before in my class. I don't know if we did anything last year, but we did some the year before. And we went to the rainforest, and that was really cool. We've had NASA scientists. My all-time favorite was when we went and saw, there was like a live kickoff of the new Magic School Bus, and they actually brought in Kate McKinnon, who's now playing the voice of Miss Frizzle, or Miss Frizzle's like niece, who's now like the Miss Frizzle character, and that was really cool. So hold tight. I'm gonna go run and grab my tea, and I will be back in like 2 seconds. Do not spill. Do not spill. No spilling. All right. I'm hitting things. All right. So I have a question. If I was to do like a book club on Zoom, would anyone want to read with me? I've been purposely like collecting books because I had this like idea where we just go on Zoom and we would read. Okay, so here's my logic. Here's why. I've been like collecting books. Like I've been going to Target, and my husband likes to razz me when I go because I want to go to like the kids section, if you will, because that's all I read because I like to stay up to date with what y'all are reading. So I just picked up this one. I'm going to cover up the tag, but I just picked up that one. And I want to get more of these. Rick Riordan does these really cool things where he gets authors and then they're sort of like super multicultural renditions of the mythology book. So I picked up this one here. I'll take the color off real fast. Tell me that's not gorgeous. Look at that cover. Tell me that is not gorgeous. Like, it's so pretty. And so my thought is we'd all go in with like different books and we would just sit and read, straight up read for like, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Now, me, I could straight up read this book and it's like, I don't know, 400 pages. And I could probably read this in like, I don't know, 3 hours. But here's my thought process. Whatever I read, and this is why I get the kid books, is whatever I read always goes into the classroom. So my logic is we'd all read together, we'd share what we were reading, and kind of like do a book tasting where if like you want to read what I'm reading, the next time we do a materials drop off, I can just like share my book. What do you think? Like, I'm not even joking. I have like 5 books in my room right now. I've got like the prequel to the Hunger Games. I got the sequel to Scythe. I have to pick up a new Scythe book because ours got trashed because I had so many kids read it because it was such a good book. If you are into dystopian novels, they're like my favorite book. I love dystopian novels. Scythe is amazing. Scythe is such a really good conversation. So like we could just sit there and talk about books for funsies. I know right now we're doing for funsies like video game playing, which is cool, but I am such an avid reader and I like to share what I'm reading. So if we wanted to like pop on, I don't know, Zoom at like 4, and then we could just read for 30 minutes and then share just for fun. Like, it's not going to be like an extra assignment. I'm literally talking like for funsies. Let's read for 30 minutes just because I will read with you. Like, I'm not even joking. I have a stockpile of books. I've been living at Target to try and like get more books. I'm not joking. I want to pick more of these up. This cover's gorgeous, guys. It's gorgeous. And there's a bunch of these too. So yeah, this one is Paulo Santiago. So yeah, I'm super stoked. So yeah, if you guys are in, cool beans, we can get started whenever. If we want to start tomorrow, like start on a Wednesday, and at 4 o'clock. So it's like whatever book you have. It's you don't have to read along with me, right? It's I'm reading this book. What book are you reading? And we all read a book that you want to read. And then we just share. It's like fun reading time where we just all read together and then we share what we're reading. And then if you like the book I'm reading, I can like share it with you. I don't mind. Most of you guys live around me anyways. Like a lot of you guys are like 5 minutes away from my house. I went to like Rara's house yesterday. I went to Kira's house yesterday. I've been to Lexi's house. So like for me, it's just you guys live around here. I run into like y'all at Target. So it's cool. Miss Young doesn't mind. All right. 8:15. Let's go ahead and get rolling. I'm going to put my pretty book over here. No, it's optional. All right, so let's go ahead and take attendance. Let's put our academic hats on. All right, so academic hats on. Let's go ahead and get started. Type OK if you are ready to go. Thank you, thank you. When you hear your name, type hello or hi or how do you do or all that jazz. So here we go. Come here, microphone. All right, so I've got Zaleem, I've got Ali, I saw Aya, I've got Rara, I saw Zora, I saw Aiden, I've got Jacob, I saw Audric and Hamza, I saw Ray, Kira, and Shelby. I saw Avery and Kian. I saw Khalees. Lexi, if you're here, I know you weren't feeling good yesterday, sweetie, so if you're here, can you just say hi so I know you're here? I've got Michaela. I've got Sama, Micah. I've got Nils. If you're here, can you say hi? Hi, Lexi. You feeling better, sweetie? Nils, if you're here, say hello. I'm looking for Sir Nils. All right, I've got Ty, Javier, Faiz, Hanan. Devin, if you're here, say hi. Oh, good. I'm glad. Good morning, Sky. Tiana. Good morning, DJ. I've got Jenna and Alexa. Jenna, if you're here, say hi. I've got Josiah. I've got Kaylee. I've got Guy. RC, if you're here, say hi. Hello, Devin. And I've got Ashley, Katrina, and Khadijah. I will also say, before we get started with math, that I went through your flip grids yesterday, and if you posted your flip grid for your questions, I went in and refined them. So what that means is that if you went ahead and you did your flip grid from last Thursday, I think it was, and you put in what your question is that you want to do for your discovery quest, I've gone in and where it talks about the key is in the question, that one. So for the key is in the question where it has your feedback, I went in and I formalized your question. So like if I'm Zora, come on, let me in. There we go. So if I'm Zora and in the feedback where it says Mrs. Young's feedback or whatever, I gave you two options. So it was plant-based nail polish. Is nail polish moving towards an eco-friendly, chemical-free existence? Or you can go the ancient nail polish route and do how did civilizations paint their nails? Does that make sense? So what I ended up doing was just formalizing your question. So like, let's see. Jacob's, I did, can reptiles have their intelligence tested? Alexa's was, but you have to go into feedback, but I wrote them down. What types of adaptations do deep sea creatures have? How have they developed them throughout history? The other one, Alexa, that would be cool is if like what life is like for animals who live off of hydrothermal vents. So all I did was specify your question and take what you had said in the video and write it down for you. Does that make sense? So I had, I think 25 people do it, or 24. So all of you have formal questions now. Give me an okay if that makes sense. There is a fun flip grid today for the field trip. I wanted to give you time to look at your question that I narrowed for you. Okay, so let's look at what you're going to do today. So it's your question, Jacob. All I did was fine-tune it. Zaleem, before you alter anything, take a look at the question in the feedback, because it's possible. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. Party on. So I've had like 5 of you so far send me that green light and let me know that you're done. That's super, super helpful. Thank you very much. Flipgrid, you're doing a Fishtopia video today, which all that means is that you're doing a reflection on the field trip for today. So as you're listening to the field trip, go ahead and just make notes of something that maybe a question that you had, or, well, and something that you found interesting. And that's what you're doing today. Give yourself time to really look at your DQ question. Many of you have some really interesting things, and I love it. I was telling my husband last night that I was so impressed with the questions, like super impressed. So well done. Prodigy, make sure you're doing those 20 questions. Usually takes about 30 minutes. And I do have the Infinity Tower open right now. So the Infinity Tower is open. We're going to do math right now with the decimal activity. Literacy is going to be at 110. Now, 10:15 is not when we're coming back. You need to come back at 10 on Zoom for the field trip. Okay, so on Zoom at 10. And then the read aloud will be up. So make sure you're doing the vocab. You can use the co-build if you want. I like the co-build dictionary, but that's just me. Any questions? It's the 29th, and today's the 29th, right? Or am I spacing? No, it's the 29th. Yeah, it's today. Oh, thank you, Sky. I appreciate that. I always forget something. That's okay. Robot check. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to be rounding decimals today. At this point, your table of contents ought to look like this. At this point, your table of contents should look like this. Staying focused, friends. Staying focused. So you're going to do day 6. Rounding decimals. And if you're staying with me, I'm putting it on page 25. So if you're staying with me, we're doing it on page 25. If you're staying with me, page 25. And then just give me a text emoji when you are ready to move. If you printed it out, you're just going to be doing a whole bunch of now I forgot what I was going to say. It's one of those mornings. There you go, text emoji. We'll get started. Stay focused, Darcy. Staying focused. Gorgeous. All right. I'm going to go ahead and add paper. Oh, I know what I was saying. So if you printed this off, it's going to be a fill in the blank game. If you can't print this off, totally fine. We're going to be writing it out. Ray, that's like my favorite phrase right now. Favorite phrase, hands down. All right, so up at the top, let's do day 6. Rounding decimals. Make sure you've got the date, 9/29/2020. OBJ. And then give me a thumbs up. Give me an okay when you are ready for the objective. I can't type it up. There we go. It's like having issues there. Can't type simultaneously. Ha, thank you. Thumbs up, haha. Aw. All right, let's roll. There we go. So today, we will round decimals in order to estimate for specific place values. So today we're going to round decimals in order to estimate for specific place values. Now keep in mind, rounding and estimation are two different things. Rounding is a strategy that allows you to estimate. Rounding is not estimation. It's just a strategy for estimation. That can get really, really confusing because I think up to this point, you guys have just been trained to kind of think of rounding as estimation, and it's not. Rounding is a strategy that allows you to estimate, and there are other strategies that you can use. Rounding is not estimation. It's just a strategy that allows you to do that task. There's front-end estimation. There is compatible numbers. So there's compensation. There's a lot of different strategies that you can do. and that you can use to estimate. But just keep in the back of your mind that rounding is not estimation. It's a strategy of estimation. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off with important terms. Here we go. Important terms. Rounding is an estimation strategy an estimation strategy where you replace a digit with a, we'll do n, approximate or reasonable guess. Give me a text emoji when you are done. Thank you, Aya. So if you printed this off, it should be pretty quick because it's only like a couple words. But if you're writing along with me, that's totally fine too. Do not worry. Totally fine. Thank you, Aya. Thank you, Lexi. Perfect. Thank you. I know I was talking to Nil's mom. I was having a conversation with Nil's mom real fast. All right, let's roll. All right, so after important terms, we're going to go into kind of like the process. So now you're going to get into rounding decimals. All right, so rounding decimals. So number one, you can round decimals to help you find, whoa, there we go, to help you find a reasonable number that is easier to work with. So rounding allows you to manipulate the number to get something that's simpler to deal with. So if I have a number that's like 560 times 5, I can take the 560 and take it down to 550. Or I can completely round up to 600, and now I have a number that's easier for me to simplify in my head. So you're helping yourself kind of find answers through almost like manipulating numbers. Okay. Let's go down. 2. So here we go. What you want to do is to round a decimal highlight or underline the place value you want to round. Okay, so let's say I've got a number. Let's say I've got 1 and 26 hundredths, and I want to round the tenths place. So let's say I have 1 and 26 hundredths, and I want to round the tenths place. I need to identify the tenths place. What number or digit is in the tenths place? Good. Ray, I'm so stoked. You are going to do so well this year. Look at that participation. High fives. Good job. I and Ray, they're always like the first ones out of the gate. I love it. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight the 2. That's the number that's going to be either changing or staying the same. So I highlight my number, and that's step number 1. It's just identifying that number. That's half the battle. So then I'm going to go into my next step, and I'm going to look to the digit to the right. And all I do is I take an arrow and I'm telling myself, hey, I'm looking to its neighbor. And I go to the right. So I'm changing or staying that, keeping that 2, but the next door neighbor tells me what to do. So I look to the right and I use an arrow to help me out. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I use my rounding poem. I love my little rounding poem because it helps solidify what I want to do. So I use the rounding poem. Okay, my rounding poem goes like this. Find your digit. Look right next door. Four or less, you just ignore. Five or more, you add one more. While the other digits slumber, meaning they go to sleep. Sleep. Yay. I'm glad. I love this. I came up with this my 3rd year teaching. I love it. I had to add the last line. I'm not going to take complete credit for the whole thing, but I added the last line. So what that means is I look to the 6. Okay? And if that digit is 4 or less, the 2 stays the same. But if that number is 5 or more, the 2 gets a +1. So it's increased by 1. So think of it as like getting a +1 extra life. It's eaten that green mushroom. It's gained an extra life. It's going to get bumped up 1. So I have the 6. So there is a 6 next door. Will the 2 stay the same, or will it get an extra life and bump up 1? So if that number is a 1, 2, 3, or 4, the 2 stays the same. If it is a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, the 2 gets an extra life and increases by 1. Yeah, I'm going to increase it by 1 because I have a 6. So that's a 6. So 6 means extra life. So I'm going to plus 1. Oops, I need more paper. Give me more paper. Here we go. Give me more. Give me more. Give me more. Thank you. All right. So yeah, so I'm going to take the 1 and 2/6. So 1 and 2/6. And because this is a 6, my 2 gets a plus 1. Okay, so now I have 1 and 3, and this is where the 5 comes in, okay? Turn the digits to the right of the highlighted number to zeros. So the 6, the green, comes down and turns to a 0. And this is what we mean by slumber. I draw little eyelashes on and now it's sleeping. It's sleeping. Okay. Now what's cool is I can actually take this and I can drop the digits or drop the zeros to the right of the highlighted number. And what that does is I'm going to create an equivalent decimal. So if I have 1 and 30 hundredths, I can bonk off that 0 and create an equivalent decimal. So what you'll often see is this little like wave thing, which means approximate. So I can say that 1 and 26 hundredths is approximately 1 and 3/10. Which means that they're close together. And I can say that 1 and 3/10 is a reasonable estimation to 1 and 26 hundredths because there's only like 4 number difference or 4-digit difference. All right, so Aya and Ray were asking, we'll get into some examples now. Examples. So what they were asking is, Mrs. Young, what if I have 1 and 8/10 and the expectation is I have to look here? Correct? Is that what you guys are asking about? Ignore my weird capitalization. I'm typing in my lap. All right, so create an equivalent decimal. If I have something like this, technically I have 1 and 80 hundredths. So technically I have a 0 next door. And 0 falls into that 4 or less category. If it's a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4, highlighted number stays the same. So this dude goes to sleep. And you can even knock him off. Pew, pew. And he would just be 1 8/10. Okay? Now you can do a similar thing. Let's say I've got 3 482. And I want to round to the nearest whole number. All this is code for is take it to the ones column. If you see round to the nearest whole number, you take it to the ones. Just take it to the ones. Okay? Round to the nearest whole number, take it to the ones. So, what digit is in the ones column? Good job, DJ. Good job, Hamza. Yes. Good, good, good. Yes, yes, yes. Good job, Aya. Yeah, so we're going to highlight that. And then you start the process. Highlight the digit. Look right next door. 4 or less, you just ignore. So the highlighted number stays the same. There's my 3. Now, all the other digits fall asleep. If they go to sleep, they turn into what? If the numbers go to sleep, they turn into what? Right, they turn into 0. So the 3 stays the same. 1, 2, 3. Everything to the right goes to sleep. Everyone's sleeping. And then once everyone's sleeping, you can kick them out of bed, and the answer is 3. They all get kicked. Bye-bye. That only works, though. Remember, your equivalent decimals only works if they fall to the right of the decimal. So because they are to the right of that decimal, you can kick them off. Go bye-bye. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say I've got 8 762 thousandths. I want to round to the nearest hundredth. What digit is in the hundredth spot? What digit is in the hundredth spot? Hundredth. Hundredth. What digit is in the hundredth spot? The 6. Very good. The 8 is in the ones column. The 7 is in the tenths. The 6 is in the hundredths. And the 2 is in the thousandths. So I'm going to go ahead for the hundredths. I'm going to highlight my 6. So I find my digit. I look right next door. 4 or less, I just ignore. 5 or more, I have one more. So I look to the 2. Is 2 less than 4, or is it 5 or more? Do I keep the 6 or add one more? Use it right. It's less. So I ignore. Good job. High five. So I ignore. That turns into 8 7 6. Ignore means stay the same. Now I turn that 0. So I turn the 2 into a 0. It goes to sleep. I can knock them off and get 8 and 76 hundredths. Okay, let's do another one. I'm going to need more papel. Here we go. More paper. Mas papel. Okay. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say I've got 5 and 658 thousandths. I want to round to the 10th place. So I got good job, Ali. Yes. So my 6 is in that 10ths column. And I'm going to look right to determine what to do. Okay, so I look to the right. 5 or more, what do I do? 5 or more, yes, very good. 5 or more, I add 1 more. So I identify the number in the 10ths place. I use the digit to the right to tell me what to do with the number in the 10ths column. Because the number in the hundredths place is a 5, that means I add 1 more to the 10ths column. Which turns the 5 into a 6. I joke and say that it gains an extra life, like in a video game. So you're going to go ahead and add +1. And then that turns the number into 5 and 7. What happens to the numbers to the right of the highlighted number? You turn them into zeros in order to create an equivalent decimal. So this goes into a 0, 0. So I can say that 5 and 658 thousandths is approximately 5 and 7/10ths, or 5 and 700 thousandths. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do a simple one. Okay, so let's start here. Let's try this one. What number is in the tenths column? What number is in the tenths column? What number is in the tenths column? Good job, Aya. Good job, Zalim. Good job, Ray. Micah, good. Gee, very good. Very good, yes. So I highlight. So highlight the number in the tenths column. So now what I'm going to do is I look to the right, and the right's going to tell me what to do. If that digit is a 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, the highlighted digit gets one more added to it. Ha! Good job, DJ. So I have a 5. I add one more. So because the digit in the hundredths place is a 5, I add one more to the tenths column. So 7 plus 1 equals 8. So that turns into 1 and 8. And the hundredths column turns to a 0 in order to create an equivalent decimal. So this number goes to sleep. And then you can knock them off to get 1 and 8/10. Yes, so if you look to the right, it tells you what to do for the highlighted number. Your buddy tells you what to do. Sí, una más. Sí, una más. Okay, let's do another one. So let's say I've got 1 and 89 hundredths. Okay, let's say I have 1 and 81 hundredths. Highlight the number in the ones column. Highlight the number in the ones column. What number is in the ones column? Yes, look to your right-hand man. So I highlight the ones column. Now look to the right to figure out what to do. Use your right-hand man. So I look to the right. If the number to the right is 4 or less, the highlighted number stays a 1. If that number is a 5 or more, I add 1 more to the highlighted number. 5 or more, you add 1 more. I have an 8, it's plus 1. There is a 1 in the 10ths column, sorry, an 8 in the 10ths column, so I add an extra life, or plus 1, that's emoji, to the ones column. So 1 plus 1 more equals 2. The numbers to the right of the highlighted number turn to zeros. So the 8 goes to sleep, honk shoe, honk shoe, honk shoe. Then 9 goes to sleep, honk shoe, honk shoe, honk shoe. And then you can just knock them off. Create a 2. Yes, I am very good. Yay! Very nice. Okay, any questions? Do I need to clarify anything? All right. Then let's go ahead and look at what you're going to be doing today for an activity. Okay, so drag and drop activity. Well, thank you, Ray. So drag and drop activity. Use the number to the right to help determine what to do with the highlighted number. Very good. Muito bom. I love Portuguese. Portuguese is a fun language. So what I'm going to do is I look to the bottom. Look to the bottom numbers. And you are going to sort them based on where they round to the 10ths column. So for example, 5 and 51 would round to 5.1 or 5.5 because the 1 in the hundredths means I leave the 10ths column alone. Sama, do not leave yet. So then I would go ahead and I would take this one and I would move it over here. Sama, do not leave. Same with this task, except this one is the thousandths. Oh, bless me. So this one you move to the thousandths place. So you're going to do same number, 2 different columns. Same number, 2 different columns. So what is this number if I take it to the tenths place? How does that number change if I take it to the hundredths place? So like this one, here, I'll put it over here. So Ray's asking, how do I know where to send stuff? There it is. Come back. So like here, the answers are all in the tenths column. That tells me that I am rounding here. So that means I'm looking next door. Here, it takes it to the thousands place, which means I'm looking here in the thousands place, and I'm looking next, or the hundreds place, and I'm looking next door to the thousands place. Here it tells you. Hundredths, tenths. Okay? Hamza, what was your question, babe? So this one means that you're taking it to the tenths column first. Which means this one would be 573 and 3/10. But if I take it over here to the hundredths column, it would be 573 and 35 hundredths. So this one you take it to the first column. Second one, I take it to the hundredths. All right, so let's go ahead. I had someone request here. So let's take a look at your values. My trifecta winners were Kira, Aya, Hamza, Zalim, Zora, Avery, Sama, Aiden, Ray, Michaela, Micah, Faiz, Khadijah, Josiah, Kaylee, Alexa, Jenna, and Shelby. So those are my friends who turned stuff in. I know Jacob turned it in, but you turned it in this morning. Remember, it's less about you have to be done by 8 and more training you guys to turn stuff in. Because again, once you go to middle school, if you don't turn stuff in, no one's going to come and hunt you down. So Miss Young will come and hunt you down. Because I care and I love you immensely. But middle school teachers have like quadruple the students as I do. So as it sits right now, Hufflepuff is in 4th with 62 points. Gryffindor is in 3rd with 77. Slytherin is in 2nd place with 82. And Ravenclaw is in 1st with 115. Look at how many trifectas are in Ravenclaw. Keep in mind, your trifectas are clutch. That is going to be how you get points. Because it's going to give you extra points. So I will see you at 10 I will see you at 10 on Zoom. I will see you at 10 on Zoom. Alrighty, I will see you at 10 on Zoom. I will see you at 10 on Zoom. Alrighty, bye friends, I'll see you later. See you at 10. It's field trip time.